90s, and they gave the primarily to the military, the blacks. Remember who I'm working with at George Washington?
Oh, yes.
There was because again, the vitamin D receptors are going to matter. The type 1 interferons, the sensors on the cells matter. Because that's how get into cells. So at the end of the day, it wasn't CD4 T cells, and molecularly, we learned the molecular basis was a deletion of delta CCR.
That was Dr. Judy Mikovits. Now, I know you didn't understand half of what she said, but don't worry, I got you. What up, people? My name is unimportant. But what is important is that I've been following researchers who have been exposing the New World Order's plans for a solid decade now. And the one thing they all have in common is they have not taken out time to translate what is happening in the world so the common person can understand it, and especially for those people who are most victimized. I do believe this is the main reason why people are apprehensive to the information no matter how much evidence is presented, because no one is speaking in a digestible language to the masses they can understand. Although I believe these people mean well, by not translating the research to the common folk, they are unintentionally writing them off as stupid and possibly deserving of the tyranny that is to come. But just because they can't understand what is happening doesn't mean they deserve what is happening. Leaving them behind is essentially leaving a version of ourselves behind. Warning: the following video contains extreme vulgarity, pop culture references, slang, oversimplified metaphors, general butchering of the English language, and a whole lot of shit that a bougie bitch might not want to subject themselves to. If you are too much of an intellectual to listen to terms like nigga, bitches, motherfuckers, hoes, and bullshit, then this ain't for you. With that being said, this is the New World Order explained for hood niggas.
Critical thinking is dead. Niggas is killing instead. Niggas will die for the bread. Nigga, you heard what I said. I'm fucking this bitch in the bed. Fucking this bitch getting head. Or maybe it's just in my head. Maybe it's all in my head. But critical thinking is dead.
So first, let me get this out the way. Just because you a hood nigga doesn't mean you an idiot. This ain't the New World Order explained for dummies. Hood niggas have their own dialect, no different than like multiple versions of Spanish. But I do feel this information is dire and is such of great importance that niggas need to know, and not only do they need to know, they need to understand enough to explain to the next nigga, you feel me? Chapter 1. These niggas is tripping.
You're okay. You're not gonna get you have these.
Hey folks, guess you heard this morning I tested positive for.
And when people are, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Dr. Fauci says he has COVID again.
If you've done the right thing and gotten, you deserve the freedom to be safe from. And this morning, I learned I tested positive for as well.
Until all of us are part of widespread programs, no one is safe.
New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has tested positive for.
If you are protected. They are effective.
Vice President Kamala Harris has announced that she's tested positive for.
Imagine being in the middle of Detroit, pregnant, working at the front desk of AutoZone or some shit like that, and they telling you if you don't get the you fired. Then you go home and your kid's school staff is telling you that if your kids don't get the they can't come to school. Your baby daddy just got locked up, the bills are due, and you just had a death in the family from gun violence, but at the hospital they told you he died from. The fuck, nigga? These niggas is tripping. Now I know that shit may seem a little bit over the top, but a lot of niggas in the hood can share identical or extremely similar stories from their own personal experiences. No matter the circumstances, the common theme in that scenario is one word: coercion.
And I understand that not being vaccinated today, I'm unable to travel to most of the tournaments at the moment.
And that's the price you're willing to pay?
That is the price that I'm willing to pay.
Ultimately, are you prepared to forego the chance to be the greatest player that ever picked up a racket, statistically? Because you feel so strongly about this challenge?
Yes.
Why, Novak? Why?
I'm gonna break that shit down, you know what I'm saying? Basically what these niggas is telling you, that if you don't do what I tell you to do, or what I tell you you should do, no matter who you are, you're gonna be able to live. They coercing you, or forcing you through suggestion, or means by removing things from you to make you do what they want you to do. Now, why the fuck would they do that? Is it because there's some deadly killing everybody? If that shit is true, why are the crackheads still roaming the streets 100 deep without dying? Now, we all know them niggas in the suburbs, they falling for this shit, but not you. Your 5 senses work. These niggas must think you boo-boo the fool or something. So just by using your eyes, you can clearly see these niggas is lying. But your uncle, Sandog, that nigga really bought into the propaganda. He telling everybody that you're crazy and that you're a bad mother for not forcing your kids to get the shot. Your friends are saying you're stupid for quitting your job over the shot. They're clearly ignoring common sense and basing their whole life off being scared and pussies. And because you use your brain for 1 second, you're supposed to be the dumb one. Like, what the fuck? These niggas is tripping. But ye not forget, these are the same niggas that went out and bought 400 boxes of tissue when the government said because the tissue was running out. The same niggas trying to take the tissue back to Walmart and shit. These niggas is tripping. It's gonna be the same niggas wiping their ass till they die trying to tell you stupid. Come on, man. How can people be so captivated by fear? Especially when the shit don't make no fucking sense. They don't understand how they being manipulated. So first, what you need to do is understand that people in charge truly believe in their heart of hearts that everyone except them niggas is cattle for the slaughter. And because they know how to manipulate you, not only is it their right to manipulate you, they believe that it's their duty to fuck you over. They fuck with your food, they fuck with your water, they fuck with your health, and they fuck with your mind. Oh, you don't believe me? Okay, I got you. This is the former president of Facebook speaking.
It literally changes your relationship with society, with each other, with, it probably interferes with productivity in weird ways. God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. You know, if the thought process that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them to really understand it, that thought process was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you, more likes and comments. I mean, it's a social validation feedback loop that it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. And I think that the inventors, creators, and it's me, it's Mark, it's the Kevin Systerman, Instagram, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Now look, they think you too stupid not to fall in the trap like a mosquito flying around a spider's web. There's probably one mosquito in a big ass crowd like, hey, y'all don't see that big ass tarantula over there waiting for y'all to eat y'all niggas? And the other mosquito's like, you're a conspiracy theorist. Until they get caught in the web and they ask for help. It's too late, nigga. Fuck you. These niggas is tripping. For example.
So what do you do when this happens? A loved one, let's say it's your dad, drops into the family group chat with something he thinks is real. So what do you do with this? Do you ignore it? Do you call him out saying how ridiculous you think this is?
If you do that to your dad, you've actually shamed him.
Conspiracies can be just as infectious, just as dangerous as so you have to guard against them.
So what do you do when this happens? A loved one, say your dad, drops into the family group chat with something that he thinks is real. It's something about how everyone in the world will need an experimental mRNA vaccine to protect us from. There's a link to the CBC with a message calling it scary stuff. So what do you do with this? Do you ignore it? Do you call him out saying how ridiculous you think it is?
If you do that to your dad, you've actually shamed him. My name is Talking Head. I'm the worldwide director of prestigious sounding front organisation, which gives an air of legitimacy to a random person telling you how to think and act. What happens is that your dad doubles down on his view and dismisses what you're saying.
So hold back on all that reactive talk. Maybe try something like this. Yeah, these are scary times. We're all a bit afraid, but let's be careful. What you're sharing is inaccurate, and it feeds into that fear that we all feel.
Everybody's anxiety is so heightened right now. People are sharing this stuff not for any malicious reasons, but because they're scared too.
Sending more context could be a good move, but don't drown them in evidence. Maybe try sending an article from a legitimate source, including credible scientists, on why an mRNA is experimental, untested, unproven technology that will change you at the genomic level, and that the only ever developed against actually made people more susceptible to infection. Mainstream media narratives can be just as infectious as any, so you need to guard against them.
It's very easy just to mute your crazy MSM-believing friend on TwitBookgram, or to leave a TickSnap group where people are sharing establishment propaganda. But right now, I think there's actually a kind of responsibility for all of us to share the Corbett Report's new documentary, Who is Bill Gates? So they will realise how deep the deception goes, and how all of the establishment sources that they believe in are funded by the eugenicists who are admittedly using their wealth to reduce the world's population.
If you listen this far, you're probably the only person around your circle who has critical thought. It's okay though. Not knocking it. But think, when you go to a doctor and they give you medicine, what is that called? It's called a doctor's practice, right? Think. It's called a doctor's practice. These niggas is practicing on you. And it don't take a fucking genius to figure that out. But I digress. Chapter 2. The new bitch-ass world order. When the nigga hears the new world order, they automatically think, oh, here we go with this Illuminati shit. I want to hear that bullshit, Sharif. And this is why people that's doing this shit to us, they don't even consider niggas a factor. Not a threat whatsoever. They're only worried about people they consider intelligent or critical thinkers. All you other niggas don't even open your eyes enough to even consider to investigate if this shit is real or not. But let Ray Ray owe you $20 and you want his ass till he pay you with interest. So what is the new world order? Well, this bitch ass nigga, and this bitch ass nigga, and this bitch ass nigga, and a whole bunch of other bitch ass niggas are trying to unite the globe under one collective rule. And I know some retarded ass nigga in the back is saying, what's wrong with that? Okay, let me explain. You know what happens when they consolidate power like that? Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, or even a modern example like North Korea. Watch this shit.
They catch us and they send us back to North Korea. Last month, China repatriated 50 North Korean defectors back to North Korea. It's sending them Auschwitz. Literally, they are sending them to death camp. But the Chinese regime still do catch us and send us back because they think we are posing a threat to the regime. And they don't want the regime to collapse. So they are catching all the defectors. But the human traffickers seize the opportunity here because we are so vulnerable, right? We are running away from Chinese authority. So even they rape us and kill us, the last place that we are gonna go is going to police and then report on them.
Why did they think that women coming over from North Korea are gonna somehow or another collapse the empire?
Because that's what Kim Jong-un believes. He thinks they're gonna collapse through the defection, through the defectors. So after Kim Jong-un came into power, he literally, the country cannot afford the electricity. Probably electrify the fence the entire border. Not only that, putting the machine guns with the guards, have a shoot to kill order. Whoever crosses, they don't even bother to ask you stop. They shoot you right there. And not only that, he buried the landmines on top of that.
So there's electric fence, and then there's guards shooting to kill, and then past that there's landmines.
Yeah. Entire country became a concentration camp. Entire country.
When did they start putting the landmines in?
A few years ago.
So this is after you had already escaped.
Yeah. Now there's no, you don't see North Korean defectors escaping from North Korea anymore.
So if you're born and raised in the hood, why do you think there's even a hood to be born and raised into? Think about that. Why do you think your life is fucked up? We think God just sat back and said, I'm gonna bless this certain group of people from birth and let these other niggas suffer till they figure it out. No, nigga. They ran up in your great-great-great-grandparents' shit, made them get down or lay down, and now you have to suffer as a result of nobody believing that shit back then. And if you don't wake up, the generation after you is gonna be even worse. Your kids' kids are gonna suffer. And yeah, you won't be here to see it, but none of your ancestors are here to see you suffer, motherfucker. Speaking of generations, now I'm not gonna say this is true or false because I can't prove it 100% without a shadow of a doubt. But we do know that the plans for the New World Order goes back thousands of years. Why plan something out that you're not even gonna be around to see if it works or not? That's like planning to plant an apple tree in your front yard and it won't sprout fruit for another 200 years. When you die, someone could easily cut it down. A bad storm could fuck it up or knock it down. You never know what will happen unless you know something that no one else does. Ding, ding.
And now, one of the biggest questions of life. What happens when it's over? Heaven? Hell? Nothing? Or might there be a fourth possibility, reincarnation? Could we come back as someone else? Here's Chris Cuomo with two down-to-earth parents who thought they understood the mysteries of life. That is, until their toddler began to talk.
James Leiniger is all boy, 6 years old and full of spirit.
This is a special plane. It goes in reverse. You don't see a lot of that.
James knows a lot about planes, especially war planes.
What kind of airplane is that?
It's a Corsair.
His parents, Andrea and Bruce Leiniger, say from an early age, James would play with nothing else.
He was obsessed with airplanes. If you look around the house, that's all you'll see. Airplanes, helicopters, aircraft carriers.
But then, when he was 2, the planes James loved suddenly began to give him frequent and frightening nightmares.
I'd wake him up and he'd be screaming and he'd always be laying on his back, kicking his feet up at the ceiling. And I'd say, baby, what were you dreaming about? And he'd say, airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out.
They sound like typical kiddie nightmares, but Andrea says they went on the same way for months. Maybe too much TV. But James was just 2 and his parents say only watching Barney and Teletubbies.
A lot of times my mom had said maybe he's remembering a past life.
What did you say?
Politely, baloney.
Having a past life is not the initial conclusion that you come to. You try and figure out any other way he could have. Did he see anything? Has there ever been anything on television?
Once you observe this in a child, and the evidence is very compelling, you have to open up to another explanation for what is going on.
Bruce was deeply skeptical. His parents say between the ages of 2 and 4, James would reveal extraordinary details about the life of a former fighter pilot, mostly at bedtime, when he was drowsy.
Bruce said, what happened to your plane? He said, it crashed on fire. And Bruce said, why did your airplane crash? And he said, it got shot. And Bruce said, well, who shot your plane? And I'll never forget the look on his face. He went, oh, the Japanese.
Still, despite these extraordinary stories, Bruce remained dubious, almost to prove they couldn't be true. He began to piece together the details James was sharing. And what he found, he says, shook him to the core. For in many instances, the stories appeared to match the facts. James seemed to be recalling real events, real people, in the life of a man who'd been dead for almost 60 years.
People that are doing this to us believe in reincarnation. Uh-oh, shit is getting deep. Real fucking deep. Meaning, these niggas are reborn back on Earth via their bloodlines. They believe it so much that they made rules around it. arranged marriages, pass down wealth, especially down from generation to generation to their babies, and different rules to where they inherit this wealth. That's why you have the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds going way back centuries, possibly millenniums. That's just a very long time ago, way before your parents was born, way before their parents was born, just a long time ago for you niggas that don't know what the fuck millennium mean. Now my question to you, people who want a good life and a nice car and a big house, and you want a good man, or you want a bunch of hoes that you can take shopping and fuck, the people that are doing this to us can buy everything you ever imagined and more. They can buy you. What do they know that you don't? What do they believe and understand that you don't? This is how they can plan some shit 200 years from now and not be worried about when it's gonna work. They don't have to be around. I'll give you an example. Population control and Planned Parenthood. Yeah, follow me? The shit seems harmless enough, right? A woman has the right to do what she wants with her body, even if it means killing something inside of her body, right? Bill Gates is the lead of Planned Parenthood via the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? Follow me? But what was Planned Parenthood called before it was called Planned Parenthood? It was called the Negro Project. I bet you didn't know that shit. It was an ingenious way of getting niggas to kill their own babies by saying niggas had the right to kill their own babies. It's kind of like gang members in the future fighting for their right to purge based off what we're doing today. And guess who was the president of the Negro Project? William H. Gates, aka Bill Gates' daddy. So that nigga daddy wanted y'all to kill y'all kids before they were ever born, and now he doing the same shit. And niggas is too emotional to even vet to see if this is true. But let your baby daddy stay out too late after work and you unlocking this nigga phone and doing the most investigative detective work known to the human species because you're under the fucking mind control. You're not dumb. You're just indoctrinated. From birth, you were raised not to question and just do. So the narrative or the story drives your existence and not the cold-hearted truth. So what's the end game? Why not just kill us all? Well, if you are familiar with the story of Nagasaki or Hiroshima, then you know they have weapons to kill most of us, but they know they won't be able to do it without taking collateral damage and possibly making the world uncomfortable for them to live in. They also know niggas who are aware are not going to just give up without fighting, and it's just too many of us. So if we were to ever wake up and unite, even though they have their wealth and we are their workers, the elites give the orders to shoot. But who does the shooting? Who has the guns? The elites give the orders to build, but who does the building? Who are the carpenters? This is why they need two things. They need automation and robots to replace the people so they don't need to depend on us, and few less people just in case we do come together so it won't be enough of us to take them down. Don't believe me? Listen to this bitch.
We cannot hide away from human population growth because, you know, it underlies so many of the other problems. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago.
Who are the real regressives? Yeah, you're right. 500 years ago, when we didn't have all the technology and ease of access and energy grids. You're right. So you go back 500 years. Quit speaking at the World Economic Forum with nice microphones and nice hotels. Quit traveling there on nice airplanes and trains and automobiles. Stop. Stop. You go back 500 years in time, Jane Goodall. You look like you were born 500 years ago. Why don't you go back 500 years in time? You love it so much, you promote it so much, why don't you do it? No, they want you to drink the Kool-Aid and die.
Come on, man. And this killing of most of the population is called population control, aka control of the population, aka eugenics, Planned Parenthood, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The use of robots to enforce the rule is called technocracy. Tech being short for technology, and cracy, or the Greek word for cratic, meaning rulership. Damn, a nigga know some shit, huh? So this is why they want you to want an abortion. This is why they want you to take the... They want you not to like a person because of race, sex, or whatever divide they say today. They want you to see a nigga with a Confederate flag and get mad. They want the police to hate you, and they want you to hate the police. That way you never see who set this whole system up. What they don't want is you to think for yourself. Think about this. They have everything one man could ever want. Every person on earth has a price. They can buy your whole life billions of times over. They have positive control of every resource on the planet, and any ruler that won't let them take their resources, he just fucking kill them. Anyone calling them out on their bullshit just gets killed or commits suicide by a shotgun to the chest 4 times. What more could they ask for except the most valuable resource on earth? The collective of people. This may seem a little far-fetched, like some bullshit, but why did slavery exist? Why did they give up that type of control when they had it everywhere? When you learn the real history, you learn about the Gullah Wars or the liberation of Haiti, where niggas fought until they were free. So if I was them and I wanted total control again, I can't just force people into slavery. I can try to fight and force y'all to slavery, but somewhere in your spirit, you're going to always want to fight and get out of it. You're going to know it's wrong. And you're not going to stop fighting until I give up. I would need a better plan, a better way to enslave you. Hence comes the New World Order.